Hey, Mount fans, my name is Adam Pole. Welcome to another Mount Athletics podcast as Mount St. Mary's in the midst of their fall sports season. We've got a great show for you today. Water polo coach Justin Vink will be with us here right in the middle of men's water polo season. We've also got a conversation and update on what's been going on the last week of Mount St. Mary's athletics with a member of our sports information staff in Steve Morano. And upcoming in just moments, a conversation with Mount soccer coach Brett Teach. A reminder, though, as well, that our Mount St. Mary's men's basketball and women's basketball individual game tickets are on sale now. You can get them online at mountathletics.com. So in just a moment, we'll be with Brett Teach as we take a look at the opening to this men's soccer season on our Mount Athletics podcast. Welcome back to our Mount Athletics podcast. My name is Adam Pole, and we're now joined with the second-year head coach of Mount Men's Soccer in Coach Brett Teach. How are you doing today, Coach?
Doing well. Always good to come back to practice after a tough road win and get ready for our next one against another really good team, Marist.
Let's talk about that. This is the first of what was your 10-game max schedule at Merrimack. It's a long trip. It was made a little bit longer by traffic. We were talking about it previously, but it was a wild first half. You go into the half down 3-2 and are able to battle back. How big was that for your team?
I think we've shown that ability all year. Unfortunately, We've gotten ourselves in a couple of little pickles, and we've had to fight our way back. So I think the resilience of our group is really good. I would prefer we didn't do that and maybe just go ahead and win the game. But yeah, the Merrimack game was an interesting game because we made some really big mistakes and got down 3-1. And then I think maybe, at least so far the young season, probably our biggest goal of the season was Sherwin Chen picking up the ball late in the half and scoring with 15 seconds left. So we go into halftime, totally different game. 3-1, 3-2 is a totally different mindset. And so at halftime, it really allowed me to just talk about, look, if we play the way we're capable of, we'll have plenty of opportunities to tie this and then get a result.
Yep.
And I think the guys bought into it, just saying, look, let's just see what happens, because we've been in this position 3 or 4 times this year. We've come back, Naval Academy to begin with, and then Binghamton as well, although we gave it up, and then we were down a goal against LaSalle and came back and went up a goal. So we've been in this position where, we've had to fight back from difficulty, and we've done it. So I know that part of belief is in the group. Now it comes down to, can we not get ourselves in that situation and manage the game a little bit better? And, we talk about all the time is, you can do a lot of great things from 18 to 18, but at the end, it really comes down to how do you manage your box on each end. Yeah. And unfortunately, against Merrimack early in the first half, we didn't manage our defensive box very well. And so we were, and the same thing, quite frankly, happened against Delaware, where we played very well with a very good team, but we just didn't manage the box well. And so they got really, I won't say uncontested chances, but chances that, had we been a little bit better positioned or a little bit more of the right mindset, I think we would have come out with a different result in the end.
Tell us about your scheduling in the non-conference. I know you still have a game upcoming with Bucknell, I believe, in a week or so, but altogether, your non-conference slate was very, very difficult. And did you do that on purpose? Do you feel that your team is really tested and now ready to go into conference play because of that difficult non-conference schedule?
I think a lot of it, it comes down to right now where we are in the program today. We're not going to generally be in position to get, an at-large berth in the NCAA tournament.
Right.
So our pathway currently would be through our conference. Now, had we navigated a non-conference schedule and let's say we were 4-1-1 going into conference play, we're probably in the top 40 somewhere.
Sure.
Because our strength of schedule right now is 40th in the nation out of 210. Right. And so part of it is I know, having gone through the league now, I kind of know what our league looks like from top to bottom. And so we choose opponents, based mainly on how do they compare to teams that we play. Are they battle tested? Sometimes it's like, playing at the Naval Academy is just really a cool venue and a great opportunity to play such a historic program, and it gives our guys exposure to different things. Duquesne is an old foe of ours. Their coach, Coach Brooks, is a very good friend of mine from the A10, which I was in that league, and I know they're always very, very good. And the other thing that most of the opponents that we picked have in common with our league is many of them play in similar facilities that we play to.
Yes.
And so we're looking for that preparation moment. Does this allow us to get better? Like, we know that very few teams that we see will attack better than Delaware.
Right.
We know that very few teams that we see will be better on the ball than Duquesne.
Mm-hmm.
We'll play very few teams who fight and battle harder than Naval Academy. Binghamton has been traditionally a very, very good program over the years under Coach Marco. So we pick programs that, number one, we know they're very similar to what we'll see day in and day out in the MAC. And number two, quite frankly, teams that will come here and play.
Yeah.
I'm not real big on the, hey, we'll play you if you come here. And so, when we get a game like Delaware where they'll return a trip, or we get a game like Duquesne where they'll return a trip, even though, right now they would be in a plane a little bit higher than, we've been in the last, 5-6 years. That's really important to me as well. I mean, we may take a swing, at, like, we're considering playing University of Virginia next year, or Maryland, or things like that. But, that's the exception, not the rule for us. Almost everything we do is with the mindset of, number one, if we navigate the schedule well, will it put us in position for an at-large? And number two, it gives us then a second way into the national tournament. And two, does it prep us, and probably more important, does it prep us for the brutality of our league schedule? And it's the same in every league, right? Your league, everybody knows you, study you all the time. And so, there are no secrets when you get into conference play. So it's just a difficult thing to navigate. And again, when people come to us, they've got to come a long way. And everywhere we go is a long way. So there isn't really a close hour-and-a-half trip. There is, close trip, I believe, is probably Iona, but I'm not sure. Yeah. And even that's 3 hours plus, depending on traffic in New York. So I think that, these games all give us that preparation.
Tell us about your really young talent, because when you look at some of the players that stand out for your team, a lot of them are freshmen, redshirt freshmen, or sophomores, and that's really exciting if you're a Mount fan.
Yeah, I think when we came in here a couple of years ago, we had a unique opportunity because we did have a lot of upperclassmen. Mm-hmm. So Coach Cunningham's last team was filled with 4th and 5th year guys, some that we got back for last year, some that we didn't. And so last year we were actually very young, but very senior laden.
Yeah.
It was really an interesting kind of combination of players, which kind of gave us that 1 year buffer to use some guys. Now we lost a couple of those guys to injury during the year, but we were lucky that we had a couple of the older guys who'd been through the wars of the MAC a little bit, and they understood what conference play were. But we did bring in 27 players last year. And then this year, again, we brought in a very large crew. And I think to sustain excellence is what ultimately we want to do. We don't want it to make it a 1 or 2 year process. We want to be where we're good every year. It takes 3 or 4 years of recruiting classes stacked together.
Correct.
And so what we did is we enhanced year one's recruiting by bringing in, the transfers that we brought in were all guys that we either recruited here in the front end or I recruited VCU in the front end. So they're guys that I knew. I think we've also taken a little different approach in so many teams right now that live and die in the portal. What I believe it's done is it's given us access to a better level high school player than we would have ever had in the past. And so we were able to bring in the 3 boys from just for an instance, from Virginia Beach.
Right.
Mache, who's been hurt, but he's been outstanding. Michael Korba is also, he came off a broken leg, but these are 2 young men from Poland who are both very, very talented. And then Thomas Dix, who hasn't quite made it into a game yet. He probably redshirt this season, but Thomas is a kid that we're very high on. But these are guys that normally, you would have expected the Virginia schools to pick or UVA or Virginia Tech or somebody like that to get. And then we went into Georgia for a couple guys that, because I used to be in Georgia, I'm an Atlanta guy, and so we went into Concord, which is probably the largest club there, and Kevin Rivera, one of our new players, and Ryan, who's injured right now, our backup keeper who's got a broken foot. Again, these are players that in other years maybe we wouldn't have had access to. And I'm only naming a few. We have many more of those throughout our program. We now have 4 from the same club in Canada.
Yeah.
Because I'm very good friends with the director of coaching there, and And, two of them came in, Isaiah Garcia and Christian. They had gone together to St. John's and for whatever reason decided to go somewhere different. And we had recruited both on the front end. Isaiah for VCU and then Christian we recruited very hard last year and didn't get him. And then Sherwin and Antoine were already here. We brought them in our first class. So I think what we try to do is we try to stack talent after talent after talent. And then you watch those guys emerge. Evan Gaines have played some really important minutes for us. Abu Sharif, Elliot O'Neill. These are all guys who were with us last year, but who have now made steps. Jack, Kehoe, and then I can't understate the importance of our older guys, Julian and Graham, who are also new.
Yep.
But Graham was with me at VCU and came with me when I came here, and Julian, our goalkeeper, we were fortunate enough to get last year. And then, of course, that led to us bringing Luciano in, and he's only a sophomore as well. So, yeah, I do think it's a matter of stacking talent and then watching that talent go through the developmental process through the MAC Wars, but then also the spring. And I think that's really helped us. We did have Isaiah here last spring, and I think that helped quite a bit.
Coach Teach, one last question.
Sure.
Next up, we want the Mount fans to come out. Free tickets for men's soccer games all year long. This Saturday, Marist is coming to town, one of the top teams in the MAC. It's a big, big opportunity coming off the win against Merrimack here to take on a really, really good Marist side.
Yeah, what's fun about it for us is this will be the third team that, is nationally recognized. Marist right now is 19th in the RPI currently in the country. They're undefeated still, and this will be the third undefeated team we've had here. Duquesne, Delaware, and we got a result with Duquesne. Delaware exposed some things that were great for us to then learn how to deal with. And Marist comes in here very good. They had a very impressive win over Quinnipiac. Coach Vigiano does a great job with the team. It's been fun getting to watch them a little bit and seeing how they play. And I think for us, it's a matter of, you're respectful of your opponent. You learn what they do. But it's really about being us. And I think in the end, that's what helped us to get through the Merrimack game is, yes, you understand what your opponent does well, and you try to, I don't say combat it, but you be aware of it. And so, yeah, Marist has some ways they can score goals. They score goals freely. They're a good team. But we also want to control the game with the ball. We want to be able to counter press. And probably one of the things that I was really excited about against Merrimack was that we talk about 4 or 5 ways that we can score goals, and we actually scored goals all those ways against them. We had our first goal, which was a penalty kick, was a 21 pass process that led to a penalty kick. Amazing. Our second goal was a long string of possession that we lost, that we counter-pressed, won it back, and then Sherwin made a great individual play to score. Our third goal was another penalty, but earned by us. We had a set-piece moment. It was a throw-in that we threw very quickly. We got in, and we got into a space, and they had not recovered. And so we were able to get into a space, and our guy scrambling created a foul situation, fouled us. And then finally, the fourth goal was just pure counterattack, where we were able to win a ball. We played a ball in behind their back line. Graham Dugal found Isaiah, and Isaiah did the rest on his own. But what really made it special were 2 of our young guys that we like to talk about, made very important runs, which occupied the other 2 backs, which allowed Isaiah to go 1v1. So I think that, we'll need to strengthen ourselves defensively a bit this week, get a little bit more, a little bit better in our box, and then continue the lessons of, moving the ball quicker than our opponent can defend, all the things that we do. And so it's about, displaying your own personality, your own style, your own model of play, while understanding and respecting and combating what your opponent does. And Marist is worthy of that. They're a very good opponent. So I'm excited about the game, excited to have another undefeated team here. And hey, it's nothing like conference play, right?
No doubt about it. Well, Coach Teach, thank you so much for the time.
Yep.
And we wish you all the best here getting into the heart of MAC play.
Appreciate it, guys.
That's Coach Brett Teach. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to move from the pitch to the pool with Mount water polo coach Justin Vink right after this. We welcome you back to our Mount Athletics podcast. My name is Adam Pohl, joined by the Mount's third-year water polo coach, Justin Vink. Coach Vink, now we are in the men's season. The women's season's in the spring, but this has been a great start for you guys here on the men's water polo side, as you are already here. You have as many wins as you had last year, and that's an enormous accomplishment.
Yeah, no, I mean, to be this early in the season, to, have already accomplished that, and to be beating teams that we hadn't beat last year, including Salem, who was ranked in the top 20 polls this past weekend. It's a really good win for us, and it's a really good start for the program. Obviously we started a bit rough with kind of some top 5 teams in the country, but we needed that to be able to win the games that we've been winning. So I'm pretty excited to see how far we can go with 2/3 of the season left, and beginning with Navy on Saturday. So the guys are doing really well so far.
Tell us about the scheduling. It's a little bit different than the majority of athletic sports and collegiate athletics, where you might play a game somewhere and then go host a team and then go on the road to play. I mean, you're playing multiple games a day.
Yeah, so it's kind of just the nature of the sport, because we're, for the NCAA, we're ranked by play dates, not by number of games. So it's a 1 hour game, and we're in good enough shape where we can play at 10 a.m. and play again at 5 p.m. per se. So, like, for example, this Sunday we're going to play George Washington at their facility in D.C. At 11 a.m. and then we're going to Baltimore to play Johns Hopkins at 5 p.m. A little cross-town rivalry there. So the guys enjoy it. I love it. I just I think games are the best way for us to get experience and to be prepared for our conference play as we get to the thick of it in October. So it's definitely different, like you said, compared to other sports, but I think it builds a ton of conditioning, and it's that in-game experience that any coach would say across any sport that you just don't get in practice. So I'm just grateful that we can do that and build a schedule like that.
Think about, folks, how abnormal that is to play 2 different teams in 2 different cities on the same day. That really is something. We got to talk to some of our other coaches to see. They probably think you're nuts for scheduling it that way.
Maybe
right?
a little.
Here with Justin Vink, heading up the water polo program. You talked about how games get you in shape, but just playing the sport of water polo probably puts you in better shape than almost any other athlete here at the Mount. Talk about the conditioning you have to do to be at the apex of this sport.
Yeah, I mean, obviously base conditioning is swimming, right? So, being able to get up and down the pool and swim well. And then there's a saying in water polo that whatever happens under the water stays under the water. So I think underwater cameras at the Olympics have kind of killed us in some ways, as old school people. But there's a ton of physicality. Really, if you combined the pace sometimes of a basketball game with the physicality of a wrestler, that's really kind of a foundation of what you're going to get in water polo. And so, our shot clock's only 30 seconds, and so that's all the time we have to get up and down the pool, and you can't touch the bottom, right? That's illegal in our sport. So you're always treading. You're never using the bottom. You don't have any flotation devices. It's just you as a human being fighting the other guys in the pool and just going up and down for 4 8-minute quarters. So there's a huge level of base conditioning required. We start with swimming, and we do all the physical stuff afterward, and we haven't even talked about what you do with the ball.
Right.
So there's just so many variables and levels of conditioning that you need to be able to play this sport. So I always try and recruit guys that have a great swimming background, and bring people in that just are willing to be really physical and be able to understand kind of what team sports are. So it's a really unique sport that way, and again, I'm still in it, so I love it.
This program that you've got working right now here early in the season, I know your goaltender, your goalie's gotten a lot of acclaim, but who are some of the other players along with him that have really stood out?
Yeah, well, I just want to start real quick. I mean, our goalie just got the Conference Defensive Player of the Week for the 3rd week in 4 weeks of season. So Sharif Hosni is absolutely killing it this year, and I'm super proud of kind of what he's been able to do, especially being, the only netminder we have this year.
Yeah.
So again, I just wanted to give him a shout out because he deserves that. But other guys in our team, like our freshman Yannis Kliras, he's from Greece.
Mm-hmm.
He's currently our team leader in goals this season. He's been a really great weapon for us on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. And then one of our captains, Aaron Tarr, he's a junior from South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
He's our leader in assists and probably 5 other categories in our statistical our stat sheet. But he's another guy. He's a glue player, in my opinion, right? He's going to be the heartbeat of the team. He's going to rally the guys. He's going to be part of the team when our energy's at our highest. And he's a guy that I can personally depend on, and there's a reason he's our leader this year. So those are really 2 other guys that I really want to highlight with how well they've done for us this year.
Lastly, Justin, you talked about how we're just a few weeks away from getting into conference play for you. How big has it been for you to schedule such tough opponents to kind of get ready for that level of play?
Yeah, so we set in a team workshop, we set our goal this year was to be at least in the conference championship, which in our program's history, the best we've done is 6th.
Yes.
And so In order to do that, we have to be able to compete with Fordham. And Fordham University is currently number 5 in the nation.
Yes.
So we wanted to be able to play teams that are going to give us that physicality and that level of experience that we need to be able to compete with Fordham. So that's what we played. Cal Berkeley, who's number 3 in the country, Air Force, at 8,000 feet altitude. It's kind of a killer. The guys didn't realize it until we actually did it. And then Princeton, who's number 8 in the country. So I wanted to schedule those really high-quality opponents for the guys to be able to compete with Fordham, and so we got a really good experience playing them this past weekend. Obviously not on the right side of the results, but we get 2 cracks at them in the regular season before we have to play them at conference champs. So the whole purpose is building to that point. And, it was a much better game for us than it had been in the past to play Fordham. There's a lot of film we can use, a lot of stuff we can get prepared for, but the whole purpose there is to be able to help these guys accomplish their goal of being in that final and potentially competing for a conference title, hanging up a banner on the pool deck and doing some stuff like that. So that's always been my vision, my 4 or 5 year plan for this program. And so to see it kind of coming along, it's not perfect by any means, but to see the guys progressing and embracing kind of the culture and the standard that we're trying to establish here has been a lot of fun for me.
All right, Coach, we wish you the best of luck here as you enter the heart of your season.
Thank you very much.
That's Justin Vink. We're going to take a quick break. We return with a look back at what has happened in Mount Athletics this last week with Sports Information's Steve Morano. That's coming up right after this. We welcome you back here on our Mount Athletics podcast. My name is Adam Polo, joined by Steve Morano here on our sports information staff. Steve, it's a busy week that we just had, and even looking ahead here for Mount Athletics, we just talked to Coach Justin Vink, which has been really an exciting start from Mount Water Polo. They had a great weekend last weekend.
Yeah, up in Lewisburg at the Bucknell Invitational, they faced off against Salem, who received votes in the national poll, and they also faced off against LIU, both getting really resounding wins against the 2 teams. Unfortunately, they ran into number 5 Fordham. It's a challenge that I think head coach Vink is trying to get the boys up to in the lead up to conference championships in November, and I think it was a really good test for him. I just want to talk about Aaron Tarr, the co-captain. I know Justin Vink talked about him. 11 goals in 7, especially against LIU, was a really good showing from the South African. He also notched 4 assists against Salem as well. He scored a penalty of hat tricks against Salem. And then, you look back at the other captain, Sharif Hosni, who's in goal, records 36 saves this past weekend, 14 against LIU. That performance earned him Player of the Week, so it was a really, really good performance by everybody included. And then a couple of other additional players, Giannis Skliras obviously has a really good weekend. Nicolas Agratelis gets 2 goals against Salem, and then Andrew Norris gets his first collegiate goal against Salem.
It was the opening to the men's soccer conference season. Men's soccer played an incredibly hard non-conference. I mean, it almost felt like they were in the A10 when you look at their schedule. But for Coach Brett Teach, who we talked to earlier here, in this podcast, to be down in the first half at Merrimack, come back and win a road game for his first conference game, it was an enormous win.
Yes, it was. I think especially when you look at that scoreline at halftime, they're down 3-2. They get a goal from Graham Dougal from the penalty spot, and then Sherwin Chen scores on the stroke of halftime. And then they kind of find themselves in a little bit of trouble. They do hold off Merrimack pretty well to start the second half, and then Dougal gets another penalty in the 79th minute, and then Isaiah Garcia scores in the 81st to get the win. So it's a really, really good outing by the Mountaineers, and hopefully we can carry that into next weekend, especially.
Yeah, next weekend they're going to take on Marist at 4 o'clock, so make sure to head on down to Waldron Family Stadium. Free admission for that one. That's going to be a big, big matchup against one of the best in the MAC. Women's soccer had a loss on the road. Tough to win on the road in conference play.
Yeah, especially with such a competitive MAC season to start. It's just one of those games where you just kind of get it underway. And obviously Taylor Simmons scores the goal, the only Mountaineer goal of the day, but you also have a lot of contributions from Peyton Mears. She gets 2 shots on goal in 90 minutes. Aaron Antone also gets a couple shots on goal. So I think all around the improvement from Lisa Abbott, especially going into the rest of the conference play, is going to have to revolve around getting more shots on goal. And, when you get more shots, you get more goals. So I think it's all trending in the right direction.
Men's rugby is off to a good start. They were a winner on the road at Mary Washington this week. I mean, they have, they had 98. Is that right? 98 players to start the semester here this year. So they have been really busy getting a young team acclimated, and a big win here recently.
Yeah, they broke a 4-game losing streak in Fredericksburg against Mary Washington. Hayden McKay scores 2 goals. You also have contributions from Kingston Canby and Joe Sherrick as well, and then you have Yvonne Corbett going 3 for 3 from penalties and 2 for 2 on conversions. And then Bastion Brunello, MLR draftee, he steps up and slots away a penalty shot for an extra 3 points as well. So it was a really good showing by the Mountaineers. And again, more conference play is going to have what the rest of the team holds. Mm-hmm. So I think just heading into conference play, it's going to be really well.
Now, women's rugby had a tough loss, but if you look at their season in totality, they really had a good start to the year.
Yeah, really good start against LaSalle. I believe it was 52-12 was the final score from that. Mm-hmm. They come in, they play nationally ranked Sacred Heart. They battle out to a 17-17 tie, and then they return to Echo Field the next week and get a really nice win against the Nittany Lions. So I think for head coach Maggie Miles, we're trying to test out the waters of what this team is, and I think they've showed massive amounts of improvement compared to last year. So.
And last but not least, women's tennis got it going at Towson. I believe the Towson Invitational here last weekend to start their year.
Yeah, the women got 5 wins in singles, and then they notched a doubles win. Venus Tang beat Johns Hopkins. Bella Pescatori got 2 single wins against Johns Hopkins and Coppin State. Irlani Tsarki got a win against Georgetown. And then Anya Rosenbach also got a win against Coppin State as well. And then on the doubles side of things, Anna Barlini and Emma Perkins got a doubles win against Hampton as well. So a really nice start to the year for women's tennis. And I think heading into the MAC Masters, it's really going to show how much we can compete with MAC teams as well. So.
All right, Steve, thank you for the time and getting us all updated on the week that was in Mount Athletics.
Thank you, Adam. Appreciate it.
Remember, you can go to mountathletics.com to take a look at the schedules of all of our fall sports that are underway right now. We're going to take another break. We return to wrap things up right after this. Thanks to our great guests once again. Again, my name is Adam Pohl. We hope to see you at a Mount Athletics event this week. All around campus, it is a busy weekend. And once again, our Mount men's and women's basketball individual game tickets are on sale now. Get them online at mountathletics.com. So once again, for Adam Pohl, thanks for being with us. You've been watching the Mount Athletics Podcast.